Thank you. Good afternoon, friends, and my thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. The question raised for my comments is what kind of policy framework can the central government provide for this entire story of just transition to happen seamlessly and making sure no one is left behind. When you look at developing countries, including India, you find that the energy governance in these countries, unlike the OECD, is split into various ministries because we have had supply side issues. We continue to have them. You might have a US DOE, Integrated Ministry, Department of Energy there. In UK, the name has been evolving, but essentially it has been in one place. But in India, you have a separate ministry for coal, separate for petroleum, and MNRE, renewable, etc. So first and foremost, it becomes very important for Government of India to put its act together and have a unified policy. Because in the coal ministry, well, I retired a couple of months back, but speaking for them wearing that hat, our charter is to produce as much coal as we can. India's per capita electricity consumption numbers, per capita overall energy consumption numbers are dismal. We are short in coal supply. We spent billions of dollars in importing coal, especially coking coal. So first and foremost, this act of energy transition has to be put together in a fine coordinated manner. If the power ministry is going to keep demanding more coal because there's just not enough renewable, as you all know, that about 72 to 73% of our electricity mix comes from coal sector. And India is growing its power demand at the rate of 5 to 6% on a CAGR basis. So for that, we need lots of coal. So that is number one. Number two, when this transition happens, we all know a lot of funding will be required. Coal mines may have to be closed down. The mines, so far, when they were closed down, they didn't bother so much about a justified mine closure, taking care of the greenery there, the water channels, and the people who are dependent on it, their infrastructure. There were hospitals, schools run by coal companies. What happens to them? So when this funding is called upon, will it be the coal companies who will have to bear the brunt? Will there be some cess? There'll be some taxation. It's just possible that NTPC goes the green way and doesn't demand that coal. So the financing has to be very well done. The states and the center. This is another third aspect I wanted to bring to light, that there is a constitutional setup in which there's a division of responsibilities and a division of authority. There is a fine balance in the federal structure of power and responsibilities. It should not so happen that the taxation powers or the power to garner resources to fund this transition are with the central government and the responsibility goes over to the state government. That might queer the pitch. It may even destabilize our democracies. So how will this happen? The state government, we have the Chief Secretary Odisha sitting with us. People will look upon him when they lose their jobs, when the infrastructure goes away. It's quite understandable that coal-bearing areas also have lots of industries which are dependent on coal. The aluminium, the bauxite, the steel, cement are located close to those coal-bearing areas. Eastern India, Central India, which has so far been rich producers of coal, coal is concentrated in only 7 states of India. They haven't seen much of a growth of renewables. Renewables has happened in Western India, Central India, mostly South India. So far there was cheap coal-based power available in these parts. If that dwindles away, will suddenly the renewables happen? The policy framework so far in the country for growing renewables was on the basis of the L1 prices quoted by generators. So all the generation shifted to Rajasthan, Gujarat, because they were solar endemic states. So tomorrow, when this power goes away, how will these states meet their energy requirements? So this is another challenge. And finally, since we have dearth of time, the coal jurisdiction is largely in the central acts. Government of India governs these acts. So when there is a coal mine closure, those lands which are acquired from the landowners. So land is a very sensitive issue all over the world, especially for a dense country with high population density here. So those acquisitions took place expressly only for coal mining purposes. So if you want to repurpose those mines or monetize those mines, there will be issues because you deprived somebody of his land, put it to coal use because the country needed energy, and tomorrow you want to use it for colonization and stuff like that. In Australia, they are developing golf courses. So can we do that in India? Can we give it away for other purposes? So I think so far the pitch has been very high on funding. How to fund the just energy transition, and this is a negotiating position which countries are taking, developing countries, as we call them, developing South with the developed North. But coming down to a country like India, we have the G20 here and several like-minded nations who have this problem sitting in this hall. Now, the issue is the management of this whole thing. We are talking of transitioning an energy system which was developed over a period of 100 years and trying to dismantle through external cues and policy framework over a period of 2-3 decades, whereas the story of energy has evolved endogenically. When from coal, it went to oil, then it went to gas, and then the renewables. In the West, it was the markets who determined it. Technologies, solar panels started producing lots of electricity and at low prices, high efficiency. So it has been happening like that over there. But in India and in developing countries, you are going to make it happen through policy. So this entire business, the management of the transition is, I think, a challenge which we need to be thinking about. Thank you.